On this edition of RetroBlasting, we're continuing to count down the weeks to Dragon Con as we talk about famous props. This time we're going to talk about the sidearm of an intrepid archaeologist. You know who he is. He's that guy with the hat. In 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark introduced us to the most famous fictional archaeologist of all time, Indiana Jones. And it also reintroduced America to an iconic weapon, the Bullwhip. The Bullwhips in Raiders of the Lost Ark were made by master whipmaker David Morgan, and they varied in length from scene to scene depending on the demands of the action. Most sources say that the whip carried on Harrison Ford's belt throughout Raiders of the Lost Ark was 10 feet in length. This is an authentic 10-foot-long David Morgan bullwhip. It's made of kangaroo hide and it has an Australian styling to it. You might notice that this whip is not completely identical to the one carried by Harrison Ford in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That whip has a thinner, longer handle, and this whip seems to pack a thicker, shorter handle. This was very common of David Morgan's later whips. He was an interesting craftsman who, when he improved on a design, he didn't go backwards, despite the demand for super accurate Indiana Jones whips. He said that the whips are designed better now, I will only sell the best product. And it makes sense, but as you can imagine, for an Indiana Jones fan who's willing to shell out good money for a whip from the man who made them, that could be a little frustrating. However, the quality can't be denied. These whips are some of the best that have ever been made in the world. You might also notice this red hide fall, which is different from the white hide fall seen in Raiders of the Lost Ark if you're freeze framing the DVD. This is also indicative of later David Morgan whips, because he just continued to improve his design and he didn't go backwards. A lot of Indiana Jones fans will add a white hide fall to these whips if they acquire them. On the last propping up, we talked about fan efforts to recreate iconic props. The Indiana Jones bullwhip story is one where many fans have learned how to make bullwhips and have made extremely nice ones over the years. Some of them have even started businesses out of it. There's one in particular that I like to cite though, because this fan learned from David Morgan himself. This is the Bernardo del Carpio bullwhip, and Bernardo del Carpio is from South America, and he is a lifelong Indiana Jones fan by all accounts. The whips he designs, after being an apprentice to David Morgan, are based completely on the Indiana Jones films. This whip here is an exact duplicate of the one David Morgan would have made in 1981 for Raiders of the Lost Ark. You'll notice that it has a long, thin handle and it has a white hide fall. When I commissioned this whip from Del Carpio, I requested a 9-foot length, which is a compromise from the 10-foot length that Harrison Ford carries on his belt, and the 8-foot length that we believe was used in the Streets of Cairo scene when Indy protects Marion from their attackers. I absolutely love everything about this whip. It looks identical in color and proportion and design to the Raiders of the Lost Ark whip. When I look at it, I feel like this is the whip that was hanging on Harrison Ford's belt when Marion accidentally burns him in the Well of Souls thinking it's a snake.
Indy! Oh, Jesus!
And what I think is even more impressive is that this whip was made by a fan who loved Indiana Jones so much that he found a way to become an apprentice of the actual whip maker from the Indiana Jones films himself. That's dedication right there, and I'm really, really proud to own this whip. What sets the Indiana Jones bullwhip apart from a lot of other prop replicas is that it's not just a prop. It's not just a lightsaber or a blaster, and it won't just collect dust after you acquire it. You can learn to use it, and when you do, it becomes a spectacle moment for your outfit. My personal goal was to acquire one from the original whip maker himself. And then when I heard the story of Del Carpio, I had to have one from his apprentice. Any casual Indiana Jones fan will tell you that his most iconic trademark is his hat. And I can't disagree with that. But for the Indiana Jones superfan, like myself, we'd all agree that the bullwhip, I think, is more representative of his personality, his edgy, gritty, dangerous side. And so, for anyone out there who collects props and who loves Indiana Jones, your collection just isn't complete until his bullwhip is at your side.
Where are you going?
Through that wall. Just get ready to run. Whatever happens to me.
What do you mean by that?